Hold up. Why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step. I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bet.
Welcome back, y'all. This is the Double M Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Susan Nettle, here with my co-host,
Puma El Gato.
What do we got going on tonight, my man?
Dana White commentating at Brand Risk MMA. What a hypocrite. Let's talk about it.
You know, when we saw this, I immediately thought what my friend here said a second ago. What a hypocrite. The reason I say that is because on so many occasions, so many occasions, Dana White has berated Jake Paul and all the stuff that Jake Paul's been doing with the boxing, calling it clown show, calling it a circus, calling it a travesty that this is going on in the game. He said the same thing about the recent MMA outing that MVP Jake Paul and Netflix did with Carano and Ronda Rousey and Francis Ngannou. Now, why is he a hypocrite? Because you mean to tell me you're going to call that him using legitimate MMA fighters, him using legitimate boxers. As much as I may disagree with Jake Paul, and you guys have seen I've berated Jake Paul on this channel plenty of times, but you're going to call that a circus, you're going to call that a sideshow, a clown show, all these other things, and you go to Brand Risk? My brother in Christ, it is the definition of a circus. It is the definition of a sideshow, of a clown show. The people they got fighting on their dog. Come on, the dude with no neck. Come on, bro. That was the most recent outing. Fucking Ray J. Ray J, again, listen, all respect to Ray J and all the stuff that he's going on with, but he said it himself. He's knocking on death's door, bro. With that kind of stuff, yeah, that's what you want to go narrate? The hypocrisy that Dana White has, bro. And listen, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not surprised. You know, I'll often on this channel, you'll generally see me talk shit about Dana White because the fact that Dana White will say one thing month A and then a month B say a completely different thing and act like he didn't contradict himself. It's a pretty normal thing. So you'll see me berate Dana White. I'm not surprised by it, but the fact that Dana White has the audacity to continue to do this in your guys' face, by the way, is insane to me. Dana White in any way, shape, or form should not be trusted, should not be heard, should not be listened to because he doesn't know shit about the game. He didn't know shit about MMA. He wanted to be in boxing. Originally, when he moved out from the East Coast out west to be a boxing promoter, he wanted to be in boxing. He didn't want MMA. He fell in MMA because it was cheap and it was about to go bankrupt. And he convinced his rich daddies to say, hey, maybe we buy in. And luckily for him, they were willing to put up with more and more and more risk throughout the years. And eventually he got lucky and they made a show because of the fighters, not because of Dana White. Now, listen. I don't care what a man does with his own personal time. If he wants to go on Brand Risk and narrate and all that type of stuff, fine. Him and Hunter can be clowns and go do that. But to call what Jake Paul and them are doing, and listen, I may have my agreements with Dana White about what Jake Paul and them are doing, but to call that a clown show and then for you to go on Brand Risk and basically act like, oh, look at what we're seeing. Look at what we're seeing. Definition of a hypocrite, definition of a POS, and this is exactly why Dana White is a joke in the eyes of a lot of people and why people constantly say, let me oil that head up, boy. Dana White's a clown, man. Ain't nothing more I can say about that. He's the biggest hypocrite on the planet. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. What do you think about that, my man?
Listen, man, it's been no secret that Dana White has always been clapping for streamers that were given to give him any sort of clout, even off the hours that has nothing to do with UFC. Dana White is more than happy to clap for streamers and all that. I know you might be thinking, okay, well, this isn't really a streamer thing. Wrong! Headed up by Aiden Ross himself, the kick streamer himself. And let's be honest, this is more of a symbiotic relationship. Again, he's been coming after people, not coming after. He's been going with outings for the Nelk boys, giving him $50,000 and a Mercedes-Benz for birthday presents. And let's be honest, the relationship that he has with Aiden Ross, it's a tit for tat thing. Aiden Ross gets clout because he gets Dana White, the head of the UFC, Hunter Campbell, booking for the UFC at Brand Risk, and it gives Brand Risk a certain amount of legitimacy. Thank you. Legitimacy to the brand. Meanwhile, Dana White has Aiden Ross, which is, let's be honest, a pretty big streamer on Kick, and Aiden Ross has deals with Rain Bets and other betting sites and all that. They probably get some traffic over to the UFC, make a couple bets on some fighters. Guess what? It's a symbiotic relationship. It is tit for tat. Both of them help each other out. Which, again, is not for nothing. Again, who wouldn't want to make that deal in and of itself? What the problem is, technically speaking, Brand Risk would be in competition to the UFC. They're not doing any sort of collaborations, which means Dana White will pick and choose competition only if it benefits him. Dana White doesn't ever want to compete for anything. As soon as he sees competition, he tries to be the absolute pettiest and the lowest level work that he can do. Pride, for the longest time, way back then, Pride was actually beating out the UFC from the late 1990s onto the early 2000s. Pride got itself into a little bit of legal trouble with, allegedly speaking, I can't say anything, with Japanese crime organizations. They were in heavy straits and the UFC bought them out. UFC didn't want to ever compete with Pride whatsoever. Strikeforce was probably their biggest competition in the middle of the 2000s. And guess what? UFC bought Strikeforce out, which is why we got a lot of legitimate champions on there. The Michael Chandlers, the Ronda Rouseys, so on and so forth. Go down the list. Most of their big name champions came from Strikeforce because UFC didn't want to compete with them anymore. He might be thinking, well, okay, well, what's the brand risk thing? Like he doesn't care about them. Exactly. He doesn't care about them. They are not going to pose any sort of threat to them. He only wants to go on there because of Aiden Ross. Aiden Ross can be a gigantic asset to the UFC. And again, if you think it is any at all just a coincidence that when Francis Ngannou was walking down to fight Felipe Lins on the MVP card, that's when you announced Conor McGregor versus Max Holloway. Oh, we just got the fight done. Bullshit. You know how I know it's bullshit? Because Max Holloway, on one of his Twitch streams, said, yeah, dog, the fight got done a while ago. I couldn't say anything because I was under contract not to say anything. Which means, dog, one of your biggest stars, Max Holloway, says, the fight got done a while back. I just couldn't say anything. And all of a sudden, we announce it when one of the biggest stars who ever walked the UFC was walking down the ramp for a competing MMA organization. And now all of a sudden, you got the fight done? Bullcrap. Has nothing to do because, oh, we got it done by coincidence. Or, oh, I'm just doing it to help out a friend. No, nothing that Dana White does is ever a coincidence or ever by accident. If he's doing something, it's pretty deliberate. And again, it's one of those things where, okay, well, it's just a friend helping out a friend. Again, Aiden Ross can add so much to it. So many kick streamers to go and watch the UFC product. Put in some bets that, again, Aiden Ross, he himself is being sponsored by betting organizations, which I guarantee you has a couple of stakes in some MMA fights that are be coming up. It is absolutely beneficial for Dana White to have this sort of relationship with him. But in him doing so, he is absolutely entertaining the clown shows that he said that Jake Paul is doing, even though none of the people on the brand risk are any at all active, actual competitors. He says other competition are clown shows. Guess what, dog? You're the one sponsoring them. You have your own circus. You have your own clown shoes. You have your own red nose. You have no standing to call anybody else a clown show when you, dog, are participating in the circus. But again, maybe I'm conspiratorial. Let me know in the comments if I am. Maybe you agree with me. Let us know in the comments. But what do you think about my thoughts on all that?
No, yeah, man. I think Dana White. Listen, Dana White's a nobody. I don't care what you guys say. Dana White has continued. He's always been a nobody. He's just had rich daddies. Everything along the way. He's not done. He's had rich daddies to pay his way along the way. So I don't ever want to hear about Dana White built it. Dana White didn't build it. Dana White reached out to someone because he couldn't afford it that did it for him, and now Dana White walks around like he's hot shit. Listen, I understand that you got to network for certain things. I get that, but this isn't a networking thing. Like he said, it's not competition. It's not, hopefully, we can move some of these fighters over to UFC. Again, they got the dude with the no neck on their fine. They got Ray J on their fine. Come on, dog. Come on. They got Blueface on their fine. All due respect to Blueface. It's a clown show because Dana White makes it a clown show, bro. Again, he doesn't need to say these things. He doesn't need to be bitter and butthurt about somebody doing something that could potentially compete with them, but he chooses to be a bitch about it. You're still holding a grudge against Ngannou this many years later. It's been years and years since Ngannou has been in the UFC, and you're still asshole about that? Why? Because the lineal champion is still Francis Ngannou, whether you like it or not. He never lost the belt. He beat everyone you put in front of him. That's why it sticks in his craw, because he just couldn't get one over on Francis Ngannou. Listen, man, Dana White's a hypocrite. We've been knowing this. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been knowing this. It's sad that I still see a lot of people cucking themselves to Dana White and still standing up for him. But listen, it is what it is. We're going to keep showing you guys every time that this man is a hypocrite because he truly is the biggest hypocrite when it comes to the fight game. And with that, make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit, and
Until next time, get rest and stay blessed. We'll see you in the next one.